Hey. Woo. There we have one hand to clap with.
Wave it out. Keep your waves out. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. On behalf of the Green Lawn Skater family, I'd like to welcome everyone to our 5th grade Moving On ceremony. Very special thank you to our parents and guardians and families for coming. Also, special thank you to all of our teachers who are able to attend today. And to Betsy Murphy from the Drake School Committee who's joining us today. Thank you. This morning we're gathered together to recognize the accomplishments and achievements of our 5th grade class. With this being one of the last events of your elementary career, we can't help but think of all the firsts we've also had. The first day of school, the first picture day, the first field trip, and even that first big class project that seemed like a crazy task. As you go through life, you will recognize this pattern of uneasy firsts and sometimes tearful culminating lasts. But whether it is a first or a last, you must remember that both are opportunities for growth, learning, and making memories. I will always have a special place in my heart for this kindergarten class, as they were here for one of my first year as the principal of Greenmont Elementary School. I have truly been able to watch so many of you grow up right before my eyes. And most of you did a good job. If you've been to one of our 5th grade Moving On ceremonies before, you know that I like to borrow from authors, colleagues, friends, to add to my speech. So when I was at the beautifully executed Drake High School graduation last week, I was listening to the principal, Mr. Manley, in his speech, and he talked about wisdom. And we all have a wonderful relationship with the high school, probably more so than some of the other schools, because as many of you know, we spent an entire day there. So we know the place. We're like family with it. And in his speech, Mr. Manley talked about how he was talking to a student about a writing piece that they were working on. And the prompt for the writing piece was something like, if you had to do it all over again, if you had the ability to take what you learned and do it again, is there anything you would change? Is there anything that you would do differently? And in sharing his reasoning, we're hoping that many students would say yes, and he got a few boos there, but what he really meant was, is there anything that you learned? My hope would be that you did take something that you've learned out of the 4 years and go back and possibly do something differently. He talked about the ability to reflect on things that you've done, mistakes that you've made, successes that you've had, and use them to make wise choices, the wisdom, in your future. It's my hope that this holds true for all of you when you look back on your elementary career and you think about all the successes you've had and why. I don't think it was always luck. It was hard work. Think about, did you persevere on a task? Did you take a risk that ended up working out? Think about the mistakes you made along the way, and you've all made them. Did you learn something from those mistakes that will help you with other decisions as you grow? Have you grown and changed from those experiences? Having watched you all learn and grow and persevere and take risks and stumble and succeed and pick yourself back up, I believe the answer to those questions is yes. And I can say with confidence that I do think you are ready for your next set of firsts and lasts, your next successes, your mistakes, and your stumbles. You're smart, you're special, driven, and this group, incredibly caring. You've gone through the rigors of 5th grade, thanks to these ladies. You've become independent, responsible learners, and you've prepared yourself for what awaits you. You're ready for middle school. Whether Richardson is ready for you remains to be seen. The amazing Krista McAuliffe once said, "I touch the future, I teach." It's clear that teachers touch the lives of the many students they work with from year to year. But what is also true is that you leave an impression on us. Every child we teach has an impact on us in some way. They're often on our minds as we try to fall asleep, and often wake us up in the middle of the night. Teachers are nodding, they get it. Students, I want you to look over there. I want you to look to your right, where all of our teachers and staff are sitting. Whether you've been here for 1 year, for 3 years, for 6 years, those are the lives you've touched, and we're thankful for that. But this year, you've been working with 2 special ladies who have a message for you. So at this time, I would like to invite Mrs. Michael and Mrs. Mazzoni up to the podium.
Minutes to say thank you for a great year. Students, we thank you so much for a great year of learning. We had so much fun together. Parents, we thank you for all your support, from chaperoning the field trips to helping with the end of year activities, or even just answering the call for tissues or hand sanitizer. We really appreciate all your support and your help. Now we want to read a poem that we wrote about the 5th grade. When reflecting on the 5th graders this year, smiling faces and silly moments became very clear. The binders, the desks, the homework, the books. Together we figured out how it all looks. It was your first year changing teachers and classes. Some of you moved between rooms like molasses. You figured out quickly not to leave stuff behind, because without your pencil, you were in a real bind. Let us remind you of some things we have done. We worked, and we had tons of fun. Thinking back to all this year has brought, whether or not you want to admit it, you learned an awful lot. Social studies taught us the historical stuff. Remembering people and dates is always so tough. Explorers, settlements, colonists, and more. We learned who started the Revolutionary War. You learned of taxes and rebellion, tea parties, and more. You did simulations, brochures, maps, flipbooks, and projects galore. You wrote, and you wrote, and you wrote some more. Writing journals and readers' notebooks were sometimes a chore. When writing, you learned details from our senses to add, and to TTQA every MCAS question you had. This year in reading, you got so much better. You read in book clubs right down to the letter. Fiction and non, you can name them without blinking. You can even use evidence to prove all your thinking. Text features, text structures, you learn them all. Put it together in a book about history, you answered the call.
In math, you did things you didn't think could be done. And along the way, you had some fun. Using your skills to add, subtract, divide, and multiply. If it's a fraction, don't forget to simplify. In science, you studied the planet's biomes, the climate, the plant life, and animal homes. Visiting tundra, desert, rainforest, and more. The world's a big place. Get out and explore. You learned about weather, matter, and the moon. You kept on learning up until June. This year brought 3 MCAS that you all did dread, with the rules of how to take them swirling in your head. In the cold of January, to the Museum of Science we went. To learn about the scientific world is time well spent. You walked the Freedom Trail and got to stay late with Rachel and Jeremiah. You learned about our historical state. Old Sturbridge Village was a great trip. Through historical buildings you all did skip. Each of you gave up recess to drink tea from a cup with your teachers who kept repeating, "Have some cookies, please eat them up." A grandparent luncheon, a Halloween party, and a talent show, and on a visit to Richardson, who all did know. We had a blast with 2 days of field games, all of Dracut hearing us cheer your 48 names. A big thank you to the parent volunteers for all of your effort and time. The special events of 5th grade have been absolutely sublime. Parents, sincerely, you've raised amazing kids. That is a fact. Out in the world, these kids are going to make a huge impact. On behalf of Mr. Patello, Mrs. Mazzoni, me, and Miss Crowder, hey guys, good luck in 6th grade. Do your best and make Fremont proud.
As has been my tradition over the years, I like to ask the students to help me with my remarks for the day. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been pulling kids and we've been chatting and I've been asking them some questions that I thought that they would want to share with everyone else. The questions I asked were, what's that one big memory that you will have from Greenmont? If someone says Greenmont, what's that memory that pops into your head? And if you could do it all over again, what would you change? What would you do different? And like in past years, their words were funny, insightful, and heartwarming. Riley Niles told me that she will always remember the great teachers that Greenmont has. She said that if she could do it all again and change something, that she would work to be more open in forming friendships. Grace Kopsinski, who always makes me smile, said that she'll definitely always remember that first day of kindergarten. That burned into her memory. But if she had to do it all over again, she'd pay a little more attention to kindergarten graduation, because that's a memory she'd like to have that she doesn't have a whole lot of recollection of. Cameron Cook, the boy who would not even look at me 2 years ago, was more than willing to share his thoughts and memories. Cam told me that he will always remember the first day of school for each year because he loved seeing the teachers and seeing his friends out on the playground and getting in line. Those are great memories for him. When I asked him to reflect on his time as a Gator and if there was anything he would do differently, he said that he really wished that he had applied to be a community of caring student representative. We have 4 student representatives on our task force, and he said, having watched what the task force has done over the years, made him sort of regret that he didn't apply to be a representative. So I thought that was quite a reflection. In classic Cole Tierney Honan fashion, he was succinct and to the point. He said he had good times, and his favorite memory at Greenmont was Mrs. Cashin calling him Bugsy. Which I've grown to know that's a little private joke between me. Jacob Durant, who is never at a loss for words, said that his big memory would be kindergarten graduation. Now this is deep, so buckle up, Durant. He went further to say that kindergarten graduation was just the end of a grade. He was just finishing a grade. But this is a little different. He said, at the end of kindergarten graduation, I was like, wow, I'm a kindergarten graduate. But he explained that while this is still a graduation, the 5th grade one is different for him because he feels like he's not only graduating from Greenmont, but he's graduating childhood. So now you have a man on your hands. Good luck. When asked if there was anything that he would change, Jacob talked to me a little bit about math and some of the struggles that he had in math. And he said, you know, Mr. B, if there was anything I would change, it would be to trust my own instincts more. That I really, even though teachers taught me several different methods to solve things, that for him, he knew what he needed to do to solve it, and he should have basically just ignored them and did what he needed to do. I'm paraphrasing. When asked what she would do differently if given the chance, Rachel Dodge, smiling wide, said, well, I would definitely hand my work in on time because that's reflection. She said she'll look back at 5th grade with fondness because she felt the beginning of 5th grade was a wonderful memory for her, that everyone sort of came together as a team, they were learning new things, and they really worked together to figure each other out. And I have to say, having seen many grade levels, many kids groups go through 5th grade, this group, that Rachel nailed it. This group just works amazingly well together. They love each other for their strengths and for their weaknesses, and that's pretty powerful. And last but not least, someone else who's usually not at a loss for words, Raina Jane, Javier. But to know Raina Jane is to know, like Mr. Durant, she doesn't usually at a loss for words. So it was very funny when I said to her, Raina Jane, if there was anything you could change, what would you change? And what did she say? That she talks too much. She said, I talk too much and sometimes it gets me in trouble, so I needed to control this. But she did say that, around 3rd grade, she realized that was a problem, and she had started working on it, and she was pretty proud of herself for that, so. And when I asked her about Greenmont, and what was special about Greenmont, and what her memory would be, she just said, it's spirit. She said that the school has so many fun things that we have going on, and the students and teachers, everyone just makes you feel so welcome, and that's what she would remember the most. So that was sort of the favorite part of my week, having these conversations with the kids, because it solidified for me that we're doing it right. If this is what they're walking away with, we're doing our job right. So thank you for sharing your insights with me. All right, you ready to get a piece of paper and shake some hands? Okay, so at this time, we'd like to recognize our students with a certificate presentation. And teachers and staff, when the students finish exiting, if you would please line up in front of the stage and make an L or a J, whatever letter you would. Okay, here we go. Mr. Hill, can you please come up and join our line? David S. Hill, Curriculum Director. Right next to Mrs. McClure. Perfect. Elizabeth Arnold. Jordan Berard. Emma Bernard. Brittany Camargo. Mason Kayer. Brooke Chapman. Cameron Cook. Gracie Cormier. Kyra DeGumis. Gianni Davila. Dodge. Jacob Durant. Kayla Doobie. Our IT guy, John Flardo. Autumn Farrell Shaw. Hayden Fearley. Kaylee Gagny. Ava Gauthier. Madison Jeffroy. Joshua Giddens. And James Javier. Aubrey Jones. Anna Mae Kiley. Aaron Kamaru. Grace Kopsinski. Haley McNeil. Raeleena Marie. Nori Melick. Skylar Mello. Amira Mudakir. Andrew Mullen. Riley Nile. Oliver Noel. Enoch Obakara. Jezebel Ortiz. Marina Perry. Reese Rossetti. Emily Sawyer. Isaiah Sawyer. Bella Sherman. Ashlyn Stosso. Ryan Zachran. Cole Tierney Honan. Amari Totomi. Dominic Trotter. Not to be confused with Ethan Trotter. And last but not least, CW Dylan Walker.
Huh?